Litomerice is a small town on the north of the Czech Republic. It has around 24,000 inhabitants and a beautiful historical city center situated on the bank of the river Elbe. This is very different compared to Manila, the capital of the Philippines, with over 1.7 million people that live in both modern and historical buildings located on the shore of Manila Bay. The difference between these two cities, Litomerice and Manila, is very apparent. Yet they have something in common. Litomerice has a place named after one of the most famous Filipino writers and a hero, Jose Rizal. And Manila has a street named after Ferdinand Blumentritt, a teacher and historian who lived in Litomerice. Jose Rizal was a Filipino nationalist, a writer and polymath who inspired Filipino revolution. His novels, The Reign of Greed and Touch Me Not, are studied as part of the school program nowadays. Now prepare yourself for the next fact about Jose Rizal. He spoke over 20 languages. How did he do that? And also had a habit of switching between those languages, which made the job of the translators of his letters very interesting and challenging, I'm sure. During his European stay, he met Ferdinand Blumentritt, who lived here in Litomerice. Just like Rizal, Blumentritt spoke many languages. He learned Spanish as a young boy and became interested in the colonial history of Spain, especially the ones of the Philippines. But the main language that Rizal and Blumentritt conversed in was German. Which brings me to a question. What was Blumentritt's nationality? At the time of these events, Czech lands were part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, where one of the main languages was German language. But Blumentritt lived in Prague and in Litomerice, which means I don't have the easy answer for you. Ferdinand Blumentritt was a subject of the Austro-Hungarian Empire who lived in Czech lands, but his heart belonged to the Philippines. Sounds like Rizal and Blumentritt had a lot in common. How close were they? How many times do you have to see a person to decide that you're friends with them? Well, for Jose and Ferdinand, it was just once. After they started their letter correspondence, Rizal visited Blumentritt here in Litomerice for around 3 days, some sources say for a week. After that, they would never see each other again, but they've exchanged letters throughout their whole lives and sent over 200 letters to each other. Many of them start with "my brother." Blumentritt became Rizal's confidant for life, and he translated one of his novels into German and published a preface for another one. But as a best friend, he warned Rizal that publishing his novels can become a life-threatening affair, and sadly, he was right. Besides his contribution to the Filipino literature, Jose Rizal made a personal sacrifice, the ultimate one. He was sentenced to death on the charges of rebellion, sedition, and conspiracy against the Spanish authorities. Before his execution, he managed to write only a couple of letters, and one of them was addressed to Ferdinand Blumentritt. Rizal wrote, "My dear brother, when you receive this letter, I shall be dead by then. Tomorrow at 7, I shall be shot. But I'm innocent of the crime of rebellion. I'm going to die with a tranquil conscience." I can only imagine what Blumentritt had felt when he read that letter. Blumentritt always wanted to visit the Philippines, the land that he read and wrote so much about. He even learned Tagalog and turned his place into a museum dedicated to the Philippines. Unfortunately, he suffered from severe seasickness that did not allow him to travel there. I think he would be very surprised if he found out that one of the streets in Manila is named after him nowadays. And he wouldn't be surprised at all if he found out that one of the places here in Litomerice is named after his brilliant best friend, Jose Rizal. A man who does not think for himself lacks personality. The blind man who allows himself to be guided by the thought of another man is like the beast by a halter. Jose Rizal. Ferdinand Blumentritt is buried on Litomerice Cemetery. I think I see him right over there. Here it is. You can find his grave in front of the Garden of Memories, marked on the map of the cemetery as number 2. Rizal had warm memories of Litomerice, and no wonder, it's such a nice town. So I thought in the second part of this video we will show you the town and some things that you can do here when you visit. But before that, Vaclav will teach you how to pronounce Litomerice.
Litomerice.
Say it again.
Litomerice.
A trip to Litomerice is a no-brainer. As soon as you get off your train and leave the train station, you can see the walls of the historic city center. All the important sites are located there, or very close by. The heart of Litomerice is the Square of Peace. It gets very lively during the day, there are many restaurants and of course some beautiful architecture. We especially like this house with graffiti with biblical motifs. Perhaps the artists took some creative liberties. One of the most famous buildings in Litomerice is called Kalich, or Chalice. It has a viewpoint, which was operating the next week after we got there. So we were there kind of at the wrong time to see it. But it's okay, because the buildings around it were also under reconstruction. Overall, the square has a very nice atmosphere. Another big attraction in Litomerice is located on the opposite hill from the city center. It's a church complex with a really tall tower. Vaclav, you will be very sad right now.
Why?
Because this tall tower is closed.
That's actually good.
We were there just a week before they opened for the summer season. This one.
Oh. What is it?
It's the Church of Saint Wenceslas. Saint Wenceslas. Litomerice really surprised us because it has very interesting layout. There are parks with views of medieval city walls and towers. Small streets with cute houses and gorgeous viewpoints. We've noticed that everyone was very friendly. People would say hi to each other on the street, and there was a feeling of really tightly knit community here. On the way, we stumbled upon this cafe with Litomerice model. So if you are visiting with children, they will love it. Litomerice does not get nearly as many tourists as other small historical towns in the Czech Republic. Most people visit this region for Terezín, a former concentration camp that we made a video about recently. But not many drive further to visit Litomerice. I think it is a great one-day trip idea, so definitely check it out, guys.